I just want to welcome everybody and thank you all to our third quarterly showcase that we've had ever. This is our showcase for quarter 3 of 2023. We continue to be in our year of smart dictionaries, where we are trying to build out a lot of great capabilities and terminology service management features that people are going to be able to use in their real world settings. And I've just got a few updates. I've got some feature demos and things like that. John, before I get started, is there any level setting you want to give before?
Thanks, Joe. No, I don't think so. Just great to see people here. And looking forward to kind of highlighting all the progress made over the last 3 months.
All right, great. Well, I'll be watching the chat, so definitely feel free to raise your hand. Feel free to put questions in the chat, and I will try to get to them as we go. We're here among friends, so please feel free to chime in as needed. So, okay, just to give some updates on what kind of work that we've been completing. We've got several categories in here, one of which is a newer category, which is our design work. This design work is coming in handy as we are building up our capabilities in both our community website and our term browser features. So anyway, we've been spending a very good chunk of time on some big terminology service features in the API. So we've got quite a few tickets that are related to that, and then there were some major points completed in those. These were some relatively large features, and we'll be getting into them as we go along. I will highlight, I think one of the particular things that you'll notice today is the quality of OCL search has gone up a lot, and that is thanks to a lot of development work in the API and also a lot of feedback that you all have given us. We've also been exposing some of these features in the term browser itself so that users are able to make good use of it. We've been doing some work with OCL's Fire core to make sure that we are complying with Fire standards when we are exposing content in code systems, value sets, and concept map resources. There's been some work in our performance of OCL online and making sure that our infrastructure is up to par. As I said, design work has been newer, but we've been checking off a few boxes for what we want to design and have ready for OCL v3, which I'll talk about later. We've certainly been addressing lots of bugs, and I think the community, especially MSF and OpenMRS community and PIH, who have been raising several bugs, usually in the UI, but sometimes it is API bugs too. So we've been able to get a lot of those taken care of. And then we also have our other bucket of tickets, like our documentation and getting the CL release done and things like that. So we'll highlight some of that later. But overall, a good amount of work has been done in this quarter. So, okay, next I wanted to go into some feature showcases. I wanted to show a few of the things that we have changed in OCL in the last quarter. So let me go ahead and hop into the term browser. You can see I'm here on my profile. The thing that I want to start with is showing the quality of search. So for one thing that we were noticing before was that when you are searching for terms, sometimes the term that you're looking for was not, it was going to sometimes like mid or bottom in the list here. And we have improved our search capabilities so that if you are finding matching terms in the name or in the ID, we are highlighting them. We are making sure they go up to the top. I'm going to actually try something else real quick. So you can see that we've got SNOMED codes, and we've also got CL codes and codes from other implementers and partners and things like that. So the ordering of these results has improved, and we have, again, the community to thank for bringing up these kind of things to us and raising those issues to our attention. I want to see if I can get a synonym in here. Oh, okay. Flu. I thought flu would be a better synonym here. I'm trying to think if there's any particularly great synonym that would help. Let's do it. Is it, Andy, is ALS a synonym for Lou Gehrig's disease in here, maybe?
Should be.
Okay, let's see. Let me see if I can find it. I forgot to prepare a synonym, so I'm kind of doing this on the fly. Okay, this is not exactly what I was going for, but I did just want to note that when we have synonyms that come up, even if they don't match the main name of the concept, we're noting here that this Alsatian is a synonym, a French synonym specifically of this one particular code. So even if you find a synonym, it highlights what the actual name of the code is, and then you can go in there and look more to it. So, and then one other particularly helpful thing that we've built in lately is if you have SNOMED codes or perhaps ICD codes that you want to search by. So in this example, I already got a SNOMED code for flu that I maybe had found on their SNOMED browser, and you're actually able to search by those codes too. So in this case, we did get the SNOMED code that came up first, which is great. We also, because CL has same as mappings to that SNOMED code, these other results end up here, and you can see with this little I that it showed up here because it matched with the same as code that you searched. So this is something that just speeds up the process if you have particular codes in mind, and it makes that search much more powerful for OCL. Any questions before I hop off of search and start going and showing some other features? Cool. Okay, great. Feel free to stop me if you have any questions. And for now, I am going to go ahead to a playground organization that I've made with
Yeah, Joe, I just
folks.
put the link to Sunny's blog post in the chat too. That's got more details on that. So.
Yep. Very good. Yeah, this is our blog post where Sunny has outlined the key improvements, and I guess I might as well show we are still doing ongoing improvements with OCL search. So there is a OCL chat post of OCL search has gone wrong. If you ever come across something that you're like, well, I was searching for this, I know it's in OCL, but it isn't showing up like it should be, we've got a whole chat post where we are documenting bad results, and we're actually usually very responsive to them and making sure that our if some result isn't showing at the top like it's supposed to, then we're able to alter our weighting and be responsive to that. So that'll continue to be open if people have feedback. So, okay. Another feature that we have recently put out here, and it's something that will help work in a team for at least the time being. This is not the perfect solution necessarily for working in a team, but we do understand that people are sometimes, it's not just one person who is managing a source. Sometimes there are multiple people managing a source, and you can see over here in the updated column for our NMRS playground, there were lots of people playing around in here. So a couple of things that we have added in here lately are, one, you can filter by who updated it last. So if you want to see, okay, what has Steve done in this time, then you're able to go in here and see what he has specifically touched and go ahead and make those, like start to audit the changes and whatever it might be. If you instead, and you can combine these filters, of course, if you instead would rather figure out who has worked on this since, let's just say, last week, then we also have that, what concepts have been updated since last week and who updated it, so you can also do that auditing. So in addition to being able to audit features, we also have ways to do suggested custom attributes. And this comes in handy if, for example, you are making this would be a test, actually. If you are creating a test and you have some special attributes that you normally use. So this example, there might be a high and a low value. If you have previously used a custom attribute, this will show up in the suggested custom attributes so that you are not guessing at how to spell normal high each time. And then you're able to put in whatever value makes sense for whatever test you're doing. So these suggested custom attributes can come in handy for lab tests, among other kinds of concepts that you're doing, so that you don't have to remember what attributes they are and how to spell them and things like that. One other thing that we have added lately is the ability for adding mappings to non-OCL concepts. And what I mean by this is that previously, adding mappings to concepts that OCL doesn't host currently could be pretty difficult. And that might come in handy when, for example, you need to map to a SNOMED CT concept, but OCL doesn't have the SNOMED CT concept. So in this example, I would say same as, I'm going to map to SNOMED CT. And as you can see, OCL doesn't have any SNOMED CT concepts. So previously you would run into kind of a blocker here. But if you already know the code that you are mapping to, then you're able to put that in. And if you want to, you don't have to, but you're able to put a custom name there. So in this case, maybe I'm mapping to SNOMED's flu concept. And then I'm able to hit save, and you'll be, once this saves, you are able to, okay. Well, that might be a bug. We're going to have to fix that one. The general idea, though, is that you do not have to find the concept in OCL. Of course, if you can, it is great that you can find the existing concept, and that unlocks some new features, some more powerful features. But in the case that OCL did not host a concept, then you're able to actually input your own code and your own name to make that kind of custom mapping.
Hey, Joe, I think one thing that was intended, and since that was mostly for, like the description you just described, which was to put to a reference code that was not available in OCL, the idea of putting the name was the name should match the code. So if it's a SNOMED CT concept identifier, then it should actually have the official SNOMED description. You shouldn't be creating custom descriptions for SNOMED codes as a map, but that's why it's better to leave it blank if you don't know what the actual SNOMED description is.
Yes, yeah, very true. And thanks for that, Andy. Hold on, there was one other thing I was going to say. And this is a little bit of a niche scenario, but in case it does come up, sometimes what may happen is that, let's say you're mapping to a CL concept that Andy has told you about, but it hasn't been put into CL yet. I believe that we have it so that if, let's just say concept, with this number hasn't been created yet in CL, but it's going to be, it is possible to make mappings, and they are saved as custom mappings. And I think this probably is going to fail right now, and I'll have to look into that. But when CL later adds in those mappings, it will show up as a kind of connected mapping in here. So OCL is smart enough to, even if it starts off as a kind of quote unquote custom mapping, it will turn into a linked mapping up here and autofill the CL description when CL adds in that code. So, okay. Any other questions before I have a couple more features, but they are outside of this NMRS playground area. So any questions on the UI or anything before I move away? All right, cool. Well, in that case, one other thing that I want to show that's probably a little more interesting if you are someone who is using multiple servers. So for example, you might have your own local OCL server, and then sometimes you're managing content in OCL Online also. Or perhaps you are doing what PIH is doing and managing content in the staging server, and maybe you're ready to say, great, let's put that into production. One thing that we have recently made available is that when you download exports of a source, and this is specifically for a source, this works better, you download a zip file, and we have now improved OCL so that you can actually import that zipped file and get that content. So what I'm going to show, I have moved over into the staging environment. So this is a different environment of OCL that does not have that content that I just downloaded. I'm going to drop in that zip file that I just downloaded, and OCL it's now able to accept that zip file in that format. You did not have to do any transformation. You were immediately able to queue it up, and it would start processing those concepts. So I am going to hop over to, I think I'm going to have to find that source real quick. So there we go. So this source was actually not in this server before this demonstration. So it is currently importing, and all I had to do was download it from one OCL server, and then I could import it into another OCL server in much, much quicker time than we previously were able to do. So if you're ever moving content between servers, we do have a much better way to do that than before. And then I have one last feature. This is actually outside of OCL Term Browser, but we are improving our analytics capabilities. We're trying to make sure that we are able to kind of keep track of the community. And if there are newer users who are doing major activities, we want to be able to be aware of it, be able to help with that. We want to make sure we're aware of how much growth is happening in OCL. So each month we are generating a usage report, and I'm currently showing the QA environment just because there's much less to confuse us. For each of these reports that is run on a monthly basis, for each environment, we are given summaries of resource types. So how many organizations are created, how many concepts are created, etc. And we, of course, have some details to make sure that we ourselves can keep track, like excluding head or whatever these notes might be. But this will help us each month to understand how well our servers are being used. And for example, if new organizations are coming up that are using OCL, then we want to, be able to see what those are and make sure that we're able to offer help if it's anybody that we are, aware of or maybe not aware of. So we're able to see new things as they are made. One other interesting thing, and we are still exploring what our analytics, what we're going to be doing with these analytics, but there are mapping groups essentially. So when people are mapping to certain sources of content, we are able to see that and essentially try to figure out what are the most popular sources in this time period. In the normal production environment, CL is normally shooting to the top. But it also is helpful when we're seeing that people are mapping to ICD-11 or to SNOMED or whatever content is there. So this will help us understand what is the most used content in OCL, and also make sure that, for example, if SNOMED GPS is a highly used set of concept, maybe we prioritize that and make sure that we keep that content up to date and make sure that users are comfortable with it and things like that. So this is kind of preliminary as far as what our analytics capabilities are. We're still doing a lot more exploring, but I just wanted to show that we are trying to understand the community better through the data that we are given.
And Joe, just a quick comment on this. I see at least one or two people who are also deploying their own OCL. So this is a feature that's now supported via the API. And so at any point, you could query or run this report and give it whatever date range you want. There's some limitations in how of the metadata that OCL has available. So how you choose the date range might give results that are different than what you expect. And so we just have a monthly task that produces this at the end of the month and sends it, emails it to us. But we're planning to write a little bit of guidance or a document that explains how to take advantage of this if you are running your own deployment. And then the last piece, and you did say something about this, Joe, is because we are running our own service, OCL Online, we have not had great information. I guess until recently, we have been close enough to all of our users to kind of understand how people are using the tool, and we're growing beyond that. And so these reports are really important for helping us understand the OCL community. And so in that last piece about what types of content are being created and what are people mapping to are pretty important aspects of that for helping us understand what are the priorities for organizations working in the types of contexts that we work in. So thanks, Joe.
All right, cool. if no other comments, then I might throw it over to Rafal for a quick infrastructure update. If Rafal, if you're ready, I also have Sunny, unfortunately, was not able to attend. I do have a couple of notes from him. Rafal, is there anything you'd like to mention about our infrastructure changes that we've done in the past quarter?
Yeah, hey everyone. Do we have a slide for this infrastructure?
It is just this. I just left a placeholder in there, and don't worry if there's not a lot to update on. I know that you've been working in a bunch of different areas.
Yeah. So one thing that can be easily noticed is the search speed. So we added more power into search. We now have Elasticsearch cluster with 3 nodes to improve performance, but also high availability of the cluster. And it is for staging in production environment. We also have Redis replicas for things like background task, import tasks, which improves performance and also availability of the Redis instances in case anything fails. Yeah, these are the most visible changes in the infrastructure. We did a number of improvements into memory management on of the services to stabilize the system, and yeah, that's pretty much it. One thing that is not affecting users that much is Terraform upgrade and improved way to roll out new changes without disrupting the service and bringing down for the updates. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Thanks.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Rafal. Okay. Next, let me just talk through some bug fixes. And I, again, want to thank our users who have brought these up to us. I actually think several of our users have gotten very good at when they spot a bug, they just go ahead and create a ticket in OCL's issues GitHub repo, and we can directly start addressing it immediately. Just listing some of the bug fixes that we've gone through, there's certainly some UI fixes in the term browser, such as issues when it came to adding concepts to a collection. We noticed some indexing issues where perhaps a concept is showing up a couple of times, or maybe the concept that you just created isn't showing up quick enough. And then on occasion, we had some adding reference failures in the term browser. So these are all things that have been fixed in this quarter. And then there are several API fixes. As I said, the search fixes to see the appropriate results was a major bit of work that we've been working on. And so far, it's been pretty fruitful. Fire value sets now auto-populate the display name. If you are importing Fire content, then the value set resource now auto-populates better than it previously did. We've done some fixes in the filter pane so that the filters are showing up properly, although there's much more work that we are also planning to do in the coming quarter. And we noticed, I think, especially in the CL import, that there were duplicate mappings that were created in bulk import. So these are all fixes that we've put a good amount of time into discovering and investigating and figuring out what the core issue is. So, okay, another highlight I wanted to say is the CL content publication. I believe our latest release was September 2023, and this included new concepts for COVID variants, for PIH, for MSF, and there's also new medication concepts for Kenya's National Health Data Dictionary and Kenya EMR and others. Andy, I see that you're on here. Is there anything you want to add other than just that this was released and that it's got new content in it?
Nope, I think that's good. We're about to look like probably another one will be coming out relatively shortly. So if anyone does have any specific content requests, it's always good to get them through to us via email, probably at this point, until we're able to better harvest the directory directly out of OCL.
All right, thank you. So, okay. Next, I wanted to go into some community highlights, and this is just some shout outs to the cool work that is going on in the community. And I certainly invite, after I go through these, everybody, please feel free if there's anything that I missed, saying there's cool stuff around OCL happening. So let me give some highlights first. So OCL chat is still out there. I certainly encourage people to use it when you have questions or you're getting to know OCL and you're not sure about something. This is a great place for us to ask questions and get discussions started, whether they are bigger topics like OCL searches that went wrong. And sometimes we are saying like, all right, let's talk about fire in this kind of place. And then this is also a good space for if you just have questions about best practices or about how we should be implementing, or if we just want to get started, there is a getting started guide on OCL chat. So we continue to encourage people to check this out and use it and participate. I also wanted to highlight an event that a lot of the OCL team did out in the community where we did a Shariki webinar about national health data dictionaries. And this is hosted on our YouTube if you haven't seen it yet. This is a great conceptual framework that John, Andy, and I, with help from Steve Wanyi, were able to talk about national health data dictionaries and kind of how they work at a high level and what kind of important concepts there are to making those successful. And then we also got some good information about how Kenya is establishing their own health data dictionary. So if you haven't seen it, check it out on our YouTube. This is a very good watch, and I think it's going to affect a lot of the work that we're doing in the future too. I wanted to give a quick squad update for OpenMRS because the OpenMRS squad continues to drive these new OCL features, and they do a lot of gap and bug discovery in the OCL toolkit. And we're very, very grateful for the amount of work going into that and helping us get our service going in a very efficient and effective manner. And so partner organizations like Partners in Health and MSF, Medicine Sans Frontier, they are starting to transition to using OCL for their concept management. So this is a very major milestone that we are, working to help that transition. And in turn, they're also, as I said, discovering lots of gaps and bugs and missing features that we are able to help with. And then in our squad, we're always talking about things like concept management workflows. We are resolving bugs, and we're able to just work through it as a team. And for anybody who is working in any combination of OpenMRS dictionary management and concept management, we've got these weekly meetings that we always encourage people to join. And then we've also got some blogs. If you haven't seen them, there's a few blogs that we put out. John already linked to us the search improvements that Sunny had written. So giving this better precision and user experience. We've given an update on national health data dictionaries, and we're also talking about what are our steps that we're taking towards smart dictionaries. So I'm going to, after this, go to what are we going to do in Q4 2024? Are there any comments or shout outs or love bombs or whatever it might be about good work that's going on in the OCL community before I move on? Okay, cool. If there's anything that we missed or you want to give a shout out for, definitely feel free to put it in the chat. Andy, I do see that you mentioned that CL now has mappings to WHO's ACT codes for medications, and those are starting to be added, which that is a great addition. And is that in the current September release, Andy, or is that going to be in future releases?
There should be some already in the September release and are going to be continued to be incrementally added.
Great. Love to see that. Okay. Sorry.
And Joe, I don't know, is this still coming, but on the OCL Fire Core, I think that would actually be great to highlight what's the work going on there really quick.
You know what? I did not add a slide in here or anything about that. You want to maybe kick us off, and if I need to do any demos, I can?
Yeah, well, we actually have Rafal on here. Maybe Rafal, do you mind giving an update on the work you're doing there?
Sure. So in terms of Fire, we are currently working on providing a way to test and do bulk import of Fire resources into OCL. And together with these imports, we are doing validation if things that are imported are represented in the same way that they were provided. So that's one of the items we are working on right now. And this is going to prove our compliance with Fire standards, and we'll be more confident about the way we handle Fire resources. Yeah, next we are going to work on more basically defining flows for users and how to properly integrate Fire workflows with the UI. So currently Fire features are covered through API, and we need more awareness of Fire and a way to work efficiently with Fire representations through UI. So we'll be working on that as well, and hopefully this is going to happen with the help of the HL7 community. That's pretty much it.
Awesome. And actually, one thing that I wanted to add in, just wanted to jump over real quick. We are gathering up content that we are wanting to import. This is Fire-specific content that is code systems, value sets, and concept maps from various sources that any projects and things that we are coming across. So just as an example, we've got some WHO digital adaptation kit content. We've got some content from Kenny EMR, from International Patient Summary, of course, Fire's core and HL7's terminology resources. Essentially, we're gathering up this content from various sources, and we want to make sure that we are testing this and making sure that OCL is able to support this as best as possible. If there is other Fire content that people are aware of, that would be great test content. Please feel free to send it our way, and we can make sure we start testing with it, because we certainly want to make sure we can support as much Fire content as possible for the terminology resources.
Yeah. One more thing to add, thanks for following, Joe, is THO is the terminology.hl7.org. And so that's where you can find resources that are being maintained and curated by the HL7 team. And so the entirety of THO terminology resources are part of the repo that Joe showed. So that the publication and validation scripts and process that Rafal described does include the entirety of this. And so we have not yet moved this into production. And maybe that's one more thing you could talk about, Rafal, is the timeline for kind of moving this through our environments and into the production environment.
Yeah, so we have this script to go through the Fire imports repository that Joe showed, and I will be addressing some of the issues with the imports that we have right now, and once that is ready, we'll be doing regular imports of this content into staging environment, and once we consider it stable, this will be moved to production. And the timeline, I think that is feasible is within 1 month we should have the whole setup in place.
All right, great. Thank you, Paul. Yeah, and as I said before, if there's content that you would like to see represented in OCL, any good sources that you know of that maybe could be either standard or even just good test cases, definitely feel free to send them our way. So, okay. Let's start looking ahead into what this coming quarter is going to bring us. And we've got a few different highlights, but I will say overall, there is a lot of OCL v3 work that we are doing as far as scoping that out and making sure that we're doing good for the first step of smart dictionaries. But this starts with smaller bits of work. And so one thing that I wanted to show, and I apologize because Paul Adams is unable to be here today, but I have been able to see some of the previews of the new community site that he is currently working on. This is still very subject to change, but I think it does help to show that we are working through some of some workflows and some of our community site designs, so that as we are developing OCL v3, we have a good idea of how it's going to look and how the website is going to flow. So I believe in this flow, we've got a sign in and then a kind of dashboard flow. We've still got some updates to make to the designs themselves, but I do just want to give everybody a preview of like, this is what we expect our new community site is going to look like, where we've got better tools for getting started and for going ahead and searching in OCL online or finding standard reference vocabularies. And of course, we've got new visual designs and colors and icons and all things like that. So in this case, I believe this is after you've hit the sign in button, then we're able to take people to kind of a homepage dashboard where they can explore upcoming reference terminologies. They can see some news that might be coming out for OCL, see recently updated content and things like that. And then for those who are just getting started with OCL or signing in, that we have a new sign-in page. And then as you can see, we're still working through some feedback and things here. But there's once you have signed in, you have a kind of dashboard and landing page where you can see what your own content is. If there are change requests that you have given or received, then having a space to place that. And then also any of your bookmarked content, so that you anything you want to keep tabs on or check in on, whether that's standard terminology that you care a lot about, or whether it's your own data dictionary that you want to preview. So this is just a very brief preview at some visuals for the new community website and term browser. There's much more to come, and I imagine that we will be giving more previews of this, but I just wanted to show that we've got some cool new designs and visuals that people might want to be interested in and look forward to for next year. So, all right. With that, I also wanted to point out that some of our team members are going to be out in the community. You can find OCL at a couple of upcoming conferences. We will be at the LOINC conference in Atlanta, Georgia in just a week now. I think a week from today is when we'll be starting on the conference stuff. And then also, if anybody is attending the Helena conference in Cape Town, South Africa, we're going to be talking about our journey, Kenya's journey towards a national health data dictionary, and what we are trying to do to help smooth that out, because it's such a big effort. So we definitely look forward to seeing any of our community members and our friends there if you'll be attending. Another thing that I alluded to before, and I just wanted to give some specifics about, is that we have launched our OCL version 3 initiative. So there are some major changes upcoming. We will be sure to keep you all informed when that is happening and how you can try it out if you want to. Currently, for quarter 4, our goal is to lay some strong foundations for OCL v3. And so that involves working through some major workflows and foundational aspects that would affect the user interface and the API and things like that. So one of these is information architecture and our workflows. So we're making sure that there is a smooth and intuitive flow as you are working through the different things you would like to do in OCL's term browser. So how that information is displayed and how you get from one page to another is going to be improving, and we're going to have some more streamlined workflows there. So we are starting to get those planned out so that we can then design a better user interface. We are also working on standardizing OCL content. And so name types is an example of that. You may have seen when searching OCL content that there are multiple name types. Like, for example, you fully specified name type could be spelled 2 or 3 different ways. And sometimes you notice that in OCL. So what we are trying to do is help standardize that content. So everyone who says their name is fully specified, it all represents the same way in OCL. We are also working on this idea of checksums. This is a very complicated technical thing that I can't speak to very well, but what I can speak to is that it makes it so that you can do mass comparisons and really quick checks over a short period of time. So just as an example, if CL updates its content, it updates to a new source, checksums would allow me to get a quicker summary of what has changed from this version of OCL or of CL to this version of CL. We also are improving our FHIR approach, as Rafal talked about earlier, and we are also wanting to get together a registry for canonical URLs so that everybody is able to kind of keep their content in the space that they want to, and that if there is, for example, an authoritative link, that that canonical URL is reserved for everybody who would like to use link. And you can also expect that we are doing cybersecurity updates and improvements. I believe our main goal is OWASP. That's something that we've been looking into and figuring out what cybersecurity improvements we're going to make there. So that will be coming down the pipeline in the future once we start tackling those features more. And oh yeah, thank you, John. In the chat, I see you've put OWASP top 10 is what we are aiming for. So I just wanted to give a preview of these. Again, these are foundational things that we are tackling. Coming after this, we will start incorporating workflows into the user interface, and I'm sure you all will start to see more calls for testing and come see our beta site and things like that. But for the time being, we're wanting to make sure we set our strong foundation for these kind of foundational features and approaches that will affect how we work in the term browser for a long time. So that is all that I have as far as these slides. I say let's open it up. Are there any additions or any thoughts or questions from the community? Just thank you everybody for joining us, and we'd love to hear from you. What's on your mind at this time?
Hi Joe, hi John. It's Chaman from Sri Lanka. I'm glad to hear that you made that export and import integration seamless. That's one feature that we were looking to incorporate into our setup. Just wondering whether I think now we have to update our local instance, and that will be a continuous thing, right? Then we have to think about the versioning of the imports, exports, and backward compatibility. I just want to highlight whether you have thought through that as well. Thank you.
Shaminda, thanks for joining. You're totally right that if you grab an export from one environment, you often need to modify it on its way into a new environment. We have not implemented any of those features yet, but we're starting to think about it. So that what Joe showed is like the low-hanging fruit. Where we at least wanted our import service to understand what the JSON export files are, because before it didn't even understand that format. So the first step was understanding the format on the import service, and now we're thinking about how to make it more accessible. So that'll probably be more for the roadmap for 2024. I think in the meantime, it means that you may need to manipulate the JSON file directly, based on whatever your requirements are.
Thanks, John.
Any other questions from the audience? Any future directions you're wondering about, or any clarifications from today? We have 10 more minutes, and we certainly have the time for discussion.
I guess one update is that we are starting to think about the 2024 community roadmap for OCL. And we will spend the next couple of months putting together a framework and putting together everything we've heard, and we'll put that out as a draft for input from the community. And so you'll definitely be hearing from us on opportunities to kind of submit ideas and prioritize features and things like that. If people have ideas now, that would be great to help kickstart this process. If there are some goals or priorities for 2024 that you'd like to see included in the roadmap, and we can make that part of the initial draft.
All right. Well, if there are no other questions or thoughts, then I certainly look forward to continuing our journey in OCL and in terminology management in Q4 and in the years beyond. So thank you, everybody, for joining and for the good discussion. And we will see you all next quarter, but hopefully a bit sooner than that, too.